Hi, I'm Keith McEvoy, CEO of Success That Works and founder of SuperCharge Academy. What I'm going to share with you today is one very simple thing that you've got to get right. Basically, it's the one thing you cannot fake with a headhunter. Why is it so important? Because at some stage, if you're going to have a very successful career, or even moving out into your own business, you are going to be meeting with headhunters. They are part of the infrastructure of how we get and how we fill jobs. But I want to share with you a story from my childhood that I think paints very clearly why this is so critical. I was about 8, I was actually about 10, and there's a friend of mine called Paul, and around his house and we were playing, and basically he had a really cool, I loved going up to his house because he had this long road, a cul-de-sac, so basically there's no traffic on it, so we just played on the road, did whatever we want, and his parents were absolutely fine with us going out for 2, 3, 4 hours at a time. But the cool thing about Paul's house was across the road from his house, there's a little hedge with a few little strands of barbed wire and fields, loads of fields. But we were not allowed into the fields because you had to get through the barbed wire. So we never went there, except for one day. And I still remember, it's brilliant. We were down the very end of his road and just playing as we normally did. And there we saw, there was underneath the barbed wire, there's a little thing and you could actually get underneath the barbed wire into the field. And the reason you could do it, there must have been hundreds of kids had done it before. So you could see the clear path. So being 10-year-olds, in underneath we went and into the fields. And wow, we were sort of going around and there must have been, it is for miles these fields. So we went through the first field and then through the second field. And I remember there were a few cows in one part of it and then went underneath another fence into another field. And we were making bases and it was, just really cool. And we must have been there about an hour or so. And next thing we heard this shouting and looked across and there was a man with a big stick sort of waving in the air at us and shouting in our direction. And well, he mightn't have been shouting in our direction, but as far as we were concerned, man, farmer, run. And that's what we did. We ran, pegged it. It's a bit like, if you've ever heard the story, that we're going on a bear hunt. That was us, through the grass, underneath the fence again, and ran. And we must have been really clever because we didn't go back to his house. We went back to his another friend of ours' house in case the farmer was watching. So we thought, this is it, fantastic, we're done. Stayed there for about half an hour, coast definitely clear, and then we went back to my friend's house for dinner. And I remember his mother was going, how'd you get on today? Oh, great, yeah. And she normally never asked us, which is a bit weird. And so I remember thinking, oh, the farmer must have come, must have recognized us, and he's been here and he's told her, and you're there eating your dinner, and she starts asking more questions. Well, what'd you get up to? Playing on the road, and we went to Rory's house, and anyway, the questions kept coming, but eventually they stopped. It's like, oh, but I remember the feeling of panic and sweat, and what's going on here? But we got through it. I now look back, and I know what was going on because there was no doubt there was probably cow poo on our shoes, bits of grass and everything on our clothes. We're obviously looking a bit dirty from having been around. And there we were trying to tell her that we were in Rory's house, playing inside. Here was the problem. Our story didn't stack. It was full of inconsistencies. She knew it. And we were fooling ourselves thinking that we were fooling her into believing our story because it didn't stack. It never stacks. That's the problem with lies, basically, but also lies but things that we're not sure of. As we start going on about it, and before we know it, we get ourselves in a big muddle and everything gets exposed. That's the problem with headhunters. The thing about headhunters is they're not really there to listen to your experience, your wonderful CV and resume. They're there for one reason. The first and foremost thing that they're looking for is your story. Okay. And here's the thing. It's so difficult to fake your story. Right? It's how you grew up, how you got to where you are, and what they're looking for is the consistency of what you're saying you did versus how you're talking, the vibe that's coming across from you, and also from the little character references that they're seeing from you. And they're just clued in, looking for this all the time, going, he says that he does this amazing thing with all these people. But I know from me listening to him, I wouldn't follow him. So given the headhunter's job, most important job, is to recommend you to his client and to vouch for you, how likely is it that they are going to go and do that on your behalf if that trust isn't there, if they're detecting some element of inconsistency in your story. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to immediately just have a look at your story. If someone sat you down right now and said, okay, Keith, tell me from A to B how you got to where you are now. Are you consistent? Do you understand what has actually got you there? And more importantly, do you understand where you're going? Because if you don't understand that, if you haven't got that inbuilt in your head, if you can't rattle that off, guess what? When you're on the spot in front of a headhunter or even an interviewer, those inconsistencies are going to start coming out, and that's going to harm you. So go away, go and do your homework, and I'll speak to you again next week. So if you enjoyed this video and found it useful, I've got 2 things that you can actually do right this second. The first thing is click the button just here and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and that means that you won't miss any future episodes from me. And the second thing that you can do is, if you click the button just here, is you can sign up for my weekly newsletters, which have loads of free tools and insights and lots of really cool stuff that basically will help you to go and earn your worth in a job you love with a great work-life balance, because you so deserve it.